Newsflash for you. Politics and media, two really scuzzy industries, okay? And we have more proof of it today. I mean, the sordid details that I've got to get into, whether it be on ABC, whether it be on CNN, whether it be on Black Lives Matter, right? Like that whole organization could go up in smoke with the latest allegations centering around just exactly what they've done with all their money. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Trish Regan Show. I am Trish, and it's good to have you here today. Just a reminder that this show is brought to you in part today by Legacy Precious Metals. There has never been a better time to invest in precious metals than right now. Go to legacypminvestments.com. Again, that's legacypminvestments.com. Okay, we're going to get into all of it today. As I said, lots of stuff going on within the media, also political circles, given the BLM stuff. By the way, word today that we're sending thousands more troops over to Europe. So, my gosh, I mean, Biden's going to get us into some kind of problem there. I mean, the guy is just more of a warmonger, perhaps, than I think anybody originally thought. We want to dive into that. But first, to the news that shocked a lot of people, but maybe shouldn't have, over at CNN today. So Jeff Zucker is out, the president of CNN. He's been there for 9 years and ran the whole operation. He is now leaving again after 9 years. Allegedly, his decision, although a lot of people are speculating that there's a whole lot more that has gone into it than perhaps Jeff Zucker's decision. He announced his resignation because he had a relationship with one of his co-workers. She as well came out and announced that, in fact, they had a relationship and that she looked forward to continuing to work at CNN. She's going to stay on. Apparently the relationship happened during COVID. There are a lot of people, internal sources, that sort of dispute that and speculate that this has been going on for many, many years. She's a colleague of 20 years and had worked with him in numerous other places. That aside, one of the things that struck me about this was that I did not realize this woman who was in charge of marketing and PR for CNN had also worked for Governor Cuomo, as his PR rep for some time before coming to CNN. So that kind of helps to crystallize, perhaps in some ways, the protection that you saw around Cuomo's brother, right, who was an anchor at CNN. And now it's like all unraveling. Now it's like, all hell's breaking loose because in the investigation into Cuomo and whether he was helping his brother out at CNN, it's now come up that maybe some other people were trying to help him out too. And I think what it does is it reinforces everyone's real skepticism about the media industry, right? And sleaziness aside, it makes us question how incestuous, interesting word choice, incestuous it all really is, given that, everybody's friends with or involved with the players that be, and in this particular, or related to, I should say. So it makes it a very, very small world in which, everybody's sort of looking out for themselves and looking out for each other in that world. And this is, I think, why so many mainstream Americans have kind of had it, right? They feel that places like CNN cannot be trusted because there's an agenda. And the agenda is all about protecting those at the top. And so that's what's perhaps most revealing that has come to light. I mean, there'll be plenty of gossip and all kinds of sort of other sordid things, I'm sure, coming out. But I think what this is really exposing is how incestuous this community is and how much they're trying to look out for one another. And this is why everyday Americans do not trust them. Meanwhile, you've got Whoopi Goldberg and that whole situation. She's now suspended from her program, The View, I guess for a couple of weeks. She can go take a little vacation and reflect on everything that just happened in terms of the stupidity of her comments. Trying to suggest that somehow we should minimize the Holocaust. I mean, it's really, really, really offensive. And I think shows you how this is a woman who only sees things in terms of black and white, literally. quite literally black and white, right? She sees things only through the prism of race. Therefore, the Holocaust, it doesn't feel as though it's something that matters to her the way it obviously incredibly should, right? But it's just, as she said, white people with white people. This is what's so tragic. When we start looking at the world entirely through race, we have just lost. That is not who we are as Americans. We recognize people for the value they bring as individuals, not what color they are, not what gender they are. That's what's so horribly wrong. We're going to be talking about these issues and a whole lot more on my Locals channel, so I want you to join me live this Friday. I'll be taking your questions. I'll be listening to your comments. We're all going to be gathering there. It's a really great group, just a wonderful, wonderful group. You can help support the show there, trishregan.locals.com. Again, that's trishregan.locals.com, and I would love to hear from you on Friday. So this Friday at 4 p.m. Eastern. I want to get to Donald Trump's response to this because it's sort of classic. He had very little, shall we say, respect for Jeff Zucker. Jeff Zucker mutually returning the favor there and really being a thorn in his side, if you would. Although I would argue that Trump made Jeff Zucker's career over there at CNN because he never saw ratings, unlike what he saw in part because of all the news cycle that was moving at such a fast clip with Donald Trump as president. Anyway, the president stating on Wednesday, quote, Jeff Zucker, a world-class sleazebag who has headed ratings and real news challenge CNN for far too long, has been terminated for numerous reasons, but predominantly because CNN has lost its way with its viewers and everybody else. Now is a chance to put fake news in the back seat because there may not be anything more important than straightening out the horrendous lamestream media in our country and in the case of CNN, throughout the world. Jeff Zucker is gone. Congratulations to all. So the former president there taking quite a victory lap, enjoying the fate of Jeff Zucker. I want to turn to some news that's affecting us in terms of our troops here at home and what's going on internationally, because we have gotten word today that Biden is sending 3,000 more troops to support NATO, which is really pretty disturbing when you think about how we managed to go through 4 years without these military challenges, and now we're suddenly sending thousands of troops to Europe, of all places. Apparently some are going to Romania, Germany. They're there as reinforcements for NATO because, NATO apparently can't take care of itself. And I would hate to see us get into a really challenged situation. I would go back to there are ways of doing this that don't involve sending troops. There are ways of influencing situations by way of sanctions. Thank you very much. Donald Trump knew that. President Trump knew the importance of sanctions because you can influence countries and policies through financial, quote unquote, weapons. I mean, the idea that we might lose any soldiers, one single human being over any of this is just something that's really kind of unfathomable. But this is a traditional administration that approaches, I think, skirmishes, challenges in a traditional way. And I would prefer to see more innovative thinking. I'd prefer to see financial implications of all of this. Heck, go sanction Putin if you're that upset, right? Rather than risk American lives. I will say it, I've said it so many times before, I would so much rather lose dollars than lives. And that's what we should be focused on. Speaking of losing dollars, if you've been nervous about your investments right now, I encourage you to go take a look at keycitycapital.com/Trish. This is a real estate investing fund. And Charlie Dombeck, who was on the show just the other day, actually, you can go and look up his YouTube video. He's a partner at Key City Capital, practicing CPA for over 30 years. He's someone who considers him sort of a wealth acceleration expert. He has a lot of ideas on how you can grow your portfolio by investing in real estate, whether it be Texas, Florida, Tennessee. He formed Key City Capital to help clients recover dollars they unnecessarily pay in the form of federal and state income taxes. His investments offer a hedge fund against inflation and market volatility. Again, he was on the program the other day. You can look up the interview. It's really important, obviously, in today's economy to be thinking about how you plan your savings portfolio and growth, and most importantly, how you plan for the tax situation, because they're only going up, up, up. And you want to be able to generate some revenue. And if there's a way to do that through savings on taxes, believe me, that's something you should take a look at. So let Charlie help protect your wealth and lower your tax liability. Connect with Charlie today, keycitycapital.com/Trish. Again, that's keycitycapital.com/Trish. Speaking of money, my gosh, Black Lives Matter. The money situation seems to be catching up with these folks over there. You know, they've been buying a lot of real estate. Have you noticed that? I mean, for people that are a bunch of socialists and communists and Marxists, they kind of seem to like real estate, and they kind of seem to like the good life. Anyway, word today that the California Department of Justice is threatening to hold the leaders of Black Lives Matter accountable, personally liable, by the way, for the missing $60 million in donations. Apparently, there's like $60 million that hasn't been accounted for. So the DOJ there in California is giving them 60 days. I'm impressed, I gotta say. You know, California, it is what it is, and I used to live there, believe me. I know how liberal it is and how crazy it is. So you got to give the California DOJ extra special stars, right? Gold stars for going after a group that was seemingly untouchable. Anyway, so 60 days they have to come forward with the record surrounding $60 million in donations, or they could have their tax exempt status revoked. In other words, is this really a charity? Or is this charity so that, you know, some of the owners of the quote-unquote charity, the principals in this charity can benefit and line their pockets and buy fancy new houses. They could also face fines for each month or partial month for which the reports are delinquent. They said the directors, the trustees, the officers, and the return preparers could all be liable here. They could all face penalties, interest, and other charges incurred to restore exempt status. In other words, if you're saying you're a charity, you got to actually be a charity. You can't be just, you know, a charity that says they're doing all this stuff and then takes the money and goes and buys fancy houses. And I'm not saying that happened, but gosh, there's an awful lot of real estate which has come to light. Anyway, so again, the Department of Justice there going after BLM. It comes days after it was revealed that BLM has not had anyone in charge of its finances since Patrisse Cullors resigned, remember last May, and she resigned under a lot of pressure again, given the real estate. So if nobody's running the finances there, what exactly is going on? I think there are a lot of questions, and it's important that this stuff comes to light. Anyway, I just want to remind you all, I'm going to be live on Locals 4 p.m. this Friday. We had so much fun last Friday, so I wanted to do it again. I encourage you all to go and sign up for my Locals channel. It is, as I said, just a really great community that promotes our First Amendment. So you can do that at trishregan.locals.com, and I'll see you there. And back here, of course, tomorrow. Have a great day, everyone.